respected principal sir, esteemed guests, and respected teachers. I, Pratham Guru, President of the Northeast Student Cell,
I, Adrian Mehta, Vice President of the Northeast Student Cell, Kirori Mal College,
extend a warm welcome to all at our annual flagship event, Ethnicia, where tradition fuses with modernity and we find ourselves colliding in a mix of vibrancy. Before we start, I would like to request everyone in the audience to kindly refrain from soft speaking and put their electronic devices to either the switched off or silent mode. Thank you for your cooperation.
today we have all gathered here for a promising session on Northeast India's integration with Southeast Asia and Japan, balancing economic ties and ecological conservation. It is an absolute honor to have with us none other than the distinguished Dr. Subrahmanyam Jaishankar sir, Honorable External Affairs Minister, Government of India, whose insights will undoubtedly enrich our discussions and chart a path towards sustainable development and regional population. Without further ado, let us commence this enlightening session.
To start off the event, I would like to invite our principal, Professor Dinesh Khattar sir, Northeast Student Cells convener Dr. Samir Lama sir, to light the ceremonial lamp with our esteemed guest, the Honorable Dr. Jaishankar sir. Thank you, everyone.
For this momentous occasion, we would like to call upon our Joint Culture Secretary, Paul Kailatsang, to present a special welcome song for you, sir. Thank you all.
Now we request Principal Sir to felicitate our esteemed guests with a traditional scarf and memento as a token of gratitude. We will also request our convener, Dr. Samir Lama, to present a sapling which will continue to grow with their due care. Thank you.
Now, with great pleasure, we would like to invite our esteemed principal, Professor Dinesh Khatta sir, to address this distinguished gathering.
Very good morning, everyone. Today we are honored to have with us Shri S. Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs in the Indian government, as our esteemed chief guest. Sir is a well-known politician because of his astute diplomacy and strategic vision. Sir's tenure as India's top diplomat has been marked by pragmatism, strategic foresight, and a steadfast commitment to advancing India's national interests on the world stage. He has received a great deal of praise for his leadership and diplomatic skills, both locally and abroad, solidifying his reputation as one of India's most significant diplomats of the 21st century. His presence here today underscores the importance of cultural exchange and collaboration in fostering strong bonds within our diverse society. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the annual Northeast Schools Festival at Nisha, organized by the Kirori Mal College Northeast Schools Cell. This festival, a fusion of academia and culture, is a vibrant celebration of the rich traditions from the Northeast region of India. Athnesia encapsulates the essence of our diverse nation, showcasing the music, attire, folklore, crafts, fine arts, and literature that make the Northeast so unique and beautiful. Beyond mere entertainment, this event serves as a bridge connecting students from different backgrounds and regions. It fosters interactions that promote understanding, contributing significantly to our nation's unity and integrity. One of the primary objectives of this festival is to instill in our students a profound respect for our culture beyond their own. Furthermore, I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji for his unwavering support and commitment to promoting cultural diversity and inclusivity across the nation. His vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas resonates deeply with the spirit of this festival, emphasizing the importance of unity in diversity. So let us join hands in celebrating the spirit of togetherness and fellowship that defines Athnesia. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to Honorable Sir. Thank you so much, Sir, for giving us your valuable time. May our deliberations today pave the way for a brighter and more interconnected future for Northeast India. May this festival be a testament to our commitment to embrace diversity and promote harmony in our college and beyond. Thank you and enjoy the festivities. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
As we embark on this journey of knowledge, we are thrilled to announce the launch of our inaugural magazine, Erang. Erang is a Khasi word which translates to bloodline. This magazine is a testament to the dedication of our students and contributors in documenting the lives of Northeastern people and their aspirations. Congratulations to everyone. To capture this precious moment, we would like to call upon our esteemed chief guest, Honorable Dr. Jaishankar sir, to join us for a photograph with the editorial board, NESC core team, principal and staff advisors.
बैठ जाइए। Excuse me. सबको फोटो भैया, excuse me.
Thank you, everyone. I request everyone to please be seated. As we move forward with the event, we would like to take a moment and introduce our guest, Dr. Jaishankar sir. Dr. Subrahmanyam Jaishankar sir is an Indian diplomat and politician serving as the Minister of External Affairs of the Government of India since the 30th of May 2019. He is a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party and a member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha since 5th of July 2019. He previously served as the Foreign Secretary from January 2015 to January 2018. He became the second ever diplomat to be appointed as India's External Affairs Minister.
In recent years, especially after the launching of the Act East policy in 2014, the northeastern region of India has emerged as a pivotal player in fostering economic cooperation and strengthening cultural ties with Southeast Asia and Japan. And with Japan's growing interest over Northeast India, this relation has indeed witnessed a remarkable change over the last few years.
In today's discussion, Northeast India's integration with Southeast Asia and Japan, balancing economic ties and ecological conservation, we shall delve deep into these specific factors which shape the dynamic partnership between Northeast India and Southeast Asia, and also Japan. I would request Dr. Jaishankar sir to illuminate us on the same.
Apart from his successful diplomatic career, Dr. Jaishankar sir is a prolific writer. His recent release, Why Bharat Matters, offers a nuanced perspective highlighting India's significance not merely as a nation but also as a beacon of power and resilience. I would request Dr. Jaishankar sir to talk about his book as well. Sir, I request you to please come here and share with us your knowledge and expertise on the topic mentioned.
today to be in Kirori Mal College and to participate in this event about Northeast India, Southeast Asia, and Japan. As you know, or may not know, I have myself spent a part of my career in Southeast Asia. So I speak, and in Japan, so I speak with the perspectives of living there, of working on those relationships, as well as I have some home insights, which I'm sure will be valuable to figure out how we bond even more closely. But I was very pleased when I saw the topic because it resonated with something which I have been trying to propagate as foreign minister. And that is that in a globalized world, foreign policy matters to everyone. That what happens out there is no longer limited to out there. And it is not only a subject which people like me need to worry about. That in different ways it is something which affects the life of an ordinary person. Sometimes without you're even doing it. And there are so many examples of that. One looks back at the last few years, even the COVID pandemic is an example of how something which happened, which started somewhere else in the world, actually ended up frankly taking over our lives for more than 2.5 years. And in every day something happens somewhere. It can be something very dramatic, students or tourists who have gone abroad and find themselves in a conflict zone. That's happened in Ukraine, people who went to work, it happened to them in Sudan, it happened to people who were researchers in Israel. But it could be the quality of your life. Foreign policy, for example, makes sure that petrol prices are kept lower. It ensures that the Apple phone, which many of you are probably holding in your hands or keeping in your pocket, is made in India. There are, depending on what you do in life, somewhere or the other, some part of what is happening in the world impinges on us, and therefore I was very encouraged to see that awareness when the topic was, how does Northeast India really interact much more closely with Southeast Asia, which is a proximate region, and with Japan. That same awareness seemed to be there, and it's something which I very much like. Now, in looking at the subject, I actually want you to reflect a little bit on this, because we naturally assume that the situation that we are in, that's like a starting point. We don't think too much. How did we land up in that situation in the first place? Why are the challenges of the day the challenges? And I want you to think back actually about the consequences of the partnership. Now you would ask me saying, okay, what's the connection here? We're talking Northeast India and areas east of India. And the answer is that actually the partition of India in many ways broke or undermined a lot of the natural connectivity that the Northeast of India had enjoyed and would have enjoyed otherwise. And as a result of that, actually, if you look at the early years, the first few decades after our partition, after we got independence, the levels of growth that the Northeast India should have seen, we actually saw that stunted. We saw that stunted because they did not enjoy all the advantages which many other parts of India have. Simply because, as I said, there were political barriers, there were administrative issues, Therefore, in a way, what we are seeing now is something which, quite honestly, should have come much earlier if history had been handled for us. So when I look in terms of what has changed, to me, of course, step one, we speak about Blue East. I always tell people, for India to look east, Delhi should first look east. Delhi should look east and see the northeast. And it is when the potential and the possibilities of the northeast are fully appreciated. That is actually when the look east and the act east policies become serious. The second, as I said, is to mitigate the challenges which came out of South. And there, what had happened fortunately was that, East Pakistan became Bangladesh. Then there was a difficult period even with Bangladesh. But if you look at the last decade, Northeast India has actually been a big beneficiary of this dramatic improvement in India-Bangladesh ties. But when we did the land boundary agreement in 2015, once things settled down, there was a new level of trust and confidence between India and Bangladesh. You saw a lot of other problems being resolved, particularly problems dealing with terrorism, problems dealing with instability. Because at the end of the day, until there is stability, there is law and order, there is good governance, then other benefits of development and prosperity do not happen. So what we have actually seen since 2015 has been initially a rebuilding of what you can say was the pre-65. Because what happened in the 1965 was, in the 65 war, East Pakistan cut off all the connections which was then with the rest of India. So the rail links, the road links. So the initial challenge was, okay, get that back. So what we've seen really with Bangladesh is road connectivity, rail connectivity, the fact that today trains, buses move from this side to that side. The use of their ports, because those ports like Mongla or Chittagong, they would have been actually the natural ports for the Northeast, if you look at it geographically. But those ports, for political reasons, could not be accessed by us. Today, when we look at the possibilities which have opened up in the Northeast, actually, the enormous improvement in India-Bangladesh relations has actually opened up many more opportunities. The second natural, I would say, opening for us is of course Myanmar. Now, in the case of Myanmar, we have done our best, and again, there are projects there which could be game-changing. Probably the most important one among them is what was called the India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway. If the trilateral, or I would say when the trilateral highway is built, because parts of it have been built, there are gaps which are missing today. When the trilateral highway is complete, actually there is, for the first time, the possibility of smooth logistics movement all the way from, I would say, India till actually the Vietnam coast. Because on that side, the roads are good, the connectivity is high. So if we can somehow get through the Myanmar challenge, the possibility actually of a connectivity corridor which will run down the lateral of Southeast Asia, coming all the way actually into the Indian part. That is something that is done. Myanmar, as I said, has been a great challenge. Till there was a restoration of democracy, we had one set of problems. Last 2 years, after the military has taken over, there's been, in fact, a new set of problems, in many ways more serious. And obviously, today for us, while we are also mitigating its consequences on our own law, larger stakes that we have about connectivity to India. If all of this works, think about it. You know, once the Northeast gets connectivity eastwards to the southwards into Bangladesh, the entire eastern India, including the eastern seaboard of India, is developed more intensively, which is definitely the objective of the Modi government. There is, actually we are looking at the possibility today. I mean, on the horizon, there is a completely new promise of a much brighter economic future for Northeast Asia. Now, the connection with Southeast Asia was one subject. The other one, of course, was the links with Japan. I think it was rightly mentioned that Japan has taken a special interest in Northeast India. And realizing that, in fact, in 2017, Prime Minister Modi asked us to set up a special forum with Japan. It's the only forum of the kind we have with any country. It is an India-Japan forum which is dedicated to developing India's Northeast and developing the links of India's Northeast with other international players. So basically which Bangladesh and India. This started in 2017, it's now 7 years. As Foreign Secretary, I chaired it myself. And if one looks at these last 7 years, some results of this are already evident. I think probably the biggest difference which was made is in national highway connectivity. That in partnership with Japan, actually there's been significant enhancement of road building. I think those of you from the region would know this better. On National Highway 54, 51, 40, 127B and 208 are examples really of work which has been done or work which is big. But beyond physical connectivity, there are places, I mean Guwahati is one example, where the water distribution in Guwahati, the sewage system, that is under modernization. There have been places where our power stations have been upgraded. In Mizoram, there's a commitment to build a specialized cancer center, cancer treatment center for the Northeast region because that's a particular concern there. And in many of the northeastern states, actually the bamboo value chain is being improved. We also hope to see an expansion of language, Japanese language teaching in many of the educational institutions. So these are actually developments on the ground that I'm talking to you about. So what beyond that, what is it, in what way can really the Northeast integrate or interact much more with the region's history? I would say probably today the strongest possibility is in mobility, in the movement of skills and talent. Because in some cases in Southeast Asia, but definitely in Japan, there is actually an enormous shortage of skills and talent. So we have worked out with Japan an agreement in 14 different areas where if people go through a basic language course and clear the minimum requirement for it, they then become eligible really for employment in Japan. Now, similar arrangements today, what we call mobility agreements, it already existed with Singapore, where language is not an issue. We are actually discussing one with Malaysia right now. Another country which is very keen to look at Indian talent is Korea. And much of it is, in you can say more traditional areas of employment, But there is now something very different emerging in the global economy, which will be of great interest to all of us, and that is semiconductors. And it's of interest to us also because when we have, the Modi government has a semiconductor mission. And the first few agreements between companies for the semiconductor mission have already been signed, and work is actually happening, pretty groundbreaking is happening, facilities are coming up. And we were very, gratified that one of them, a very important one, happens to be in Assam. That in Assam for semiconductor technology, for assembly, testing, marking and packaging plant to come up. This is actually when we say first Delhi should look east and act east and look at Northeast Asia. One thing is to pay lip service. The other is actually to put that investment on the ground out there to see that there are actually employment opportunities locally of a high skill of something which is at a global level. And something like semiconductors, which is seen very much as a sunrise industry, for that to come up in Assam, which has a larger repercussion for the entire Northeast Asia, Northeast India, is something which is very important. So when we look today at east of India, as I said, definitely Japan is important, Southeast Asia important. Another player important is actually Taiwan. That with Taiwan is a partner in the first in this path, in the foundry, semiconductor foundry, which we have agreed to. But again, with Taiwan, we have also done an agreement on mobility. Their parliament equivalent is now considering it right now. So there again are possibilities of workplace of that. Now, other than that, a second area of great interest is actually goods. That there are, we are today a country with an enormous potential, which is still vastly unrealized. But if one looks, if you just look at even a simple exercise like how many World Heritage sites there are in India, and then see how many tourists there are. And you can see that there's a lot of ground that we need to make. And part of the reason why we actually organized the G20 presidency for a full year across the entire country, because Mr. Modi's instructions were, he said, I don't want a single state left. I don't want, this is probably the biggest thing that we have done in terms of getting the diplomatic attention. But that diplomatic attention should not just be in Delhi and 3 or 4 other metropolitans. It should not even be in the normal tourist destination, okay, go to Agra, go to Jaipur, go to It has to be in every city. And we ensure that it was in every city. And by doing it in every city, we actually, because if you look at the G20, roughly, I think about 100,000 foreigners came in some form or the other. And think of them actually as probably the most important influencers. That if these people went to different states in India, and many of them, didn't even know the state existed. That for them to go there to see something very different, the common feedback I used to get is we saw an India beyond the India that we knew. And that was actually what was our objective. So what we hope very much is in the coming years, all the effort that we put in through the G20, that was like almost like a basic foundation. Today we do intend to have tourism promotion actually as a core economic activity. Because if you look today in the world, nothing employs people like tourism. The multipliers are just enormous. For every tourist who comes into the number, if you look at the chain of employment consequences that it poses, it's actually something which can be game changing, and that is certainly something we intend to promote in the Northeast. The third, of course, is the, in a sense, the more orthodox areas of the planet. And I would particularly single out health, hospitality, and aviation. And it's interesting. One, of course, not all countries in the world are doing well economically, but even among those top, we're a little bit unusual. We are one of the few countries where the planes are full, the airports are full, the hotels are full. That, when you have a 7% growth rate in the size of the population and the size of the economy, the effect that it has on sectors, as I said, like hospitality, aviation, tourism, is enormous. And where health is concerned, it's also a reality. After COVID, all of us actually become much more health conscious. And on top of it, the government itself, through the Ayushman Bharat initiative, is trying to get everybody to understand that health is not a privilege, health is a right. That we have to create, we are talking of a Viksit Bharat, the starting point is to make sure that everybody has at least basic health access, affordable health. And if there is affordable health access, just imagine what the consequences to the health industry are. So I put it to you that these, there are the sunrise industries, there is the tourism potential, there are the more orthodox sectors, health, hospitality, aviation. And as I said, all of these are not just in the country. It is also actually part of being captured by the global governments. So the picture that I present here is a Northeast which is actually today getting the political and economic and development attention that it has long lacked. And with that attention and with those resources, with better governance, with greater political stability, and with connectivity to the world, and with the special, interest which countries like Japan or Southeast Asia would take, we are at the cusp of something really quite big. Now, this was the immediate topic which was given, but I can't resist the temptation of widening this, because just as I spoke to you about the Northeast and the proximate areas and the areas like which there would be a stronger cultural historical connection, every part of India actually has some variant that if you look at, say, peninsular India, they would also be looking at Southeast Asia, they would be looking at Indian Ocean. Even, a state like Odisha has a Bali Island. They have a historical connect actually with part of Indian Ocean. You go to Kerala, everybody is talking about that. You go to Gujarat, they will talk to you about East Africa. So the fact is, every part of India, in some way or the other, actually has some external connection. There is some special affinity there. And if we are smart, we need to maximize it. That in every relationship, we need to find, which part of India, which face of India, which talent of India, where is the intuitive connect. And if we do that, actually in an integrated, mapped out manner, I can tell you my job in the foreign ministry of economics, that everywhere I would find some kind of connect between India and some part of the world around us. Now, how to maximize the bonding, of course, is a a very important part of our past. And the way, in terms of definitely the Indo-Pacific region, east of India, or if you look towards the Gulf, you look towards Indian Ocean, we have to also make history work. Because we have this, if you start traveling eastwards, even from Delhi, start going eastwards, you can see actually some Indian footprint, which actually goes all the way to the east coast of China, even up to Korea. I mean, there are, there is a, you can call it a legend or history, but there is certainly a belief in Korea that they have a connection with Ayodhya. If you go to the east coast of China, there are actually Shaivite temples, which there's a town there called Chanju, where even today there are Shaivite temples because they were spreading in the middle of Vietnam. Those of you who may be familiar with the Jaishankar stories of Champa Kingdom, that we somewhere, maybe the colonial era, maybe I don't want to blame you, but the education system, somewhere we actually have lost our own sense of history, and it is important today to recover that, to realize it, to appreciate it. Because once we get much more into our authentic history, rather than what we are inherited or shaped by others, I think many of these things will naturally, there is such a deep connect between Northeast India and Southeast Asia. But it's not something which is necessarily taught to us in our school and college. And I can give you the same the other one. If you look towards West India, if you look at the Gulf, you look at East Africa, these are regions where, for centuries, for millennia, actually, in some form or the other, India and Indians have been active. So, recapturing that sense of history, then what happens is, if you really want to matter in the world, you have to find commonalities. I spoke about that. But you also have to be relevant today to what the world wants. And you have to earn the respect. So when I was encouraged to make some remarks on my book, a large part of my thesis was why Bharat matters. One part is this affinity that we have, that in a very large part of the world, there is some connect, something in our history, something in our culture, something in our tradition, that I can find a bonding. If I am aware and I play it up and I make them aware of it, I think for them Bharat will matter. Secondly, if I am more relevant to the world. Now I can be relevant in different ways. I can be relevant economically. I was very relevant during COVID because I was for 100 countries a provider of access. So I am relevant today because in the Red Sea, with all this tension which is taking place between, people firing missiles and drones and piracy, 21 of our ships are actually on service out there who are actually protecting international shipping. So that's also a very rapid, and they actually keep trade costs down because if you can protect shipping, insurance cost is less, shipping cost is less. So how do you get relevant? And of course, most important, how do you actually get the respect of the world? And you get the respect of the world just like you get the respect of the people, which is you have to perform that. That any of us, a student gets respect. When a student, in the eyes of the teacher or in the eyes of the peer group or the eyes of the college. If the student does well, if the student delivers or exceeds expectations, I think we get respect. So how we do at home is not just a matter for us. We are the largest country in the world. We are the fifth largest economy, soon will be the third. How we do at home is what's going to bring the people. What decisions we make at home will also very keenly follow them. So if we are now in the coming weeks going to decide our future, in whatever way we wish, it's not just a conversation amongst ourselves. It's a conversation or a discussion in which the other 6 billion people are also tuned in. So these are all actually aspects of why Bharat matters. But I do want to share with you as someone who travels a fair amount, what is actually our global image. Because when we say why Bharat matters, at the end of the day, countries matter because there is a perception, there is a branding which has been created. From my own travel experiences, thought of 6 or 7 really key points today. When any of you go abroad or you meet someone, these are actually their perceptions of you. One, I would say the dominant one is that this was a country which handled the COVID challenge exceptionally well. It started out as the country of the greatest concern. It ended up as the source of the greatest. And not just handled the COVID, but actually took the right decisions which enabled us today to become the fastest growing large economy. Because do remember, a lot of countries today have still not recovered, that their economic performance even today is still shaped very much by the shock and damage that they suffered. The second is the manner in which we secure our citizens. Believe me, that has got everybody's attention. You know, a lot of us, rightly, are very proud of how, I'll give you an example of how we got our students out of Ukraine. As I said, rightly so. But I also wanted to know that there were many countries who actually told their students and their citizens, saying, sorry guys, there's nothing you can do. You now have to figure out your own way. And these were not developing countries, they were even developing countries who actually told their people, you're on your own. So this change which has come out, that any Indian traveling anywhere has that sense that look, you know, sometimes people talk about, there's something called a passport index. And the passport index basically is based on how many places you don't need a visa. To me, there's something missing in that. I would have put which passports are you carrying and who will come for you when you are ready. And believe me, if you put that factor in, you will get a very different passport index. Not getting a visa and having ability to travel easily is just one part. What happens when something goes wrong? Who will look after you? Who has a system which is ready to back you up going forward? To me, that's the real value of passport. And if the Indian passport today is looked at with greater respect, as I said, one part of it is what we do. But the other is also that people know that this passport means that their government stands behind the person's character. The third is our performance of and I often share with my own colleagues in the cabinet and in the parliament that they think that when the foreign minister goes out of India, all the time you discuss foreign policy. Makes sense. But in reality, actually people abroad are enormously fascinated by what we are doing at home in the rest of our lives. They want to know how does your ration system work, how does your election system work, how you're getting a gas cylinder, how you're getting an electricity connection. Why is it that it has changed? Because I've read all these stories. That when they look, we are speaking about Japan. Let me give you a number related to, in the last 10 years, we have built 40 million houses and given it to people who are eligible in view of their living. At 4.8 families, which is the average number in India, that means about 190 million people have got houses in the last year. That's 1.5 times the population of the country. Now, when you tell somebody in Japan, guess what? I'm actually housing 1.5 times your size in the last 10 years. They then actually get the scale of what is happening in this country. Then there is, of course, the infrastructure projects that we all live in this country. We can see it every day in different places. But probably much more fascinating to the world is actually those technology feats that we do. Going to Chandrayaan. I would say in the last 10 years, probably the most impactful thing we have done, other than COVID management, was going to the Chandrayaan 3 mission. Has had a huge impact on the perception of Indians. And finally, as I said, a lot of it is about actually a country which has the ability to stand up for itself, for its interests, for its citizens, stand up to pressure, and in a sense, radiate its own persona and its country. So, let me conclude with this. I'm very confident that given the focus in the government on the Northeast, given the resources that are there, given the larger stable environment which we have produced, and I accept that there are challenges coming out of Myanmar which are exceptional, but I think we can handle it. Given the fact today that we are globalizing and we are creating a pathway by which our talent and skill at home has access to a global workforce. Given the fact that there is enormous interest in the world in investing in India, in growing in India, traveling in India, I see a lot of possibilities. Once again, I'm really very thankful that you have given me an opportunity today of sharing some of my views with you. I think this time would like me to respond to things we can do. Can I do it for them?
Thank you, sir. So we'll be taking in 3 questions at once. So I would like to see hands, and only the selected hands are. Yeah, the girl in the purple sari. Yeah. Please go ahead.
My name is Kirori, and I'm the currently pursuing political science So, in your speech, you mentioned about how under the Act's policy, there have been talks about the trilateral highway, and undoubtedly that will increase connectivity. But, sir, again, it is not unknown that Northeast India has had problems of migration, oftentimes illegal, and again, better connectivity could again increase accessibility, which could again bring influx of migrants. And sometimes border policing is also hard because of the difficult terrain that is found in Northeast India. So do you think it is ever possible for the administration that due to easier accessibility, it could strike a balance between border policing and better connectivity? Could there ever be a balance that better connectivity would not entail more influx of migrants?
And I do not think I'd like to take maybe 3 questions at a time, then I can take a few rounds.
also we have seen that in northeastern states, whenever there is an entrepreneurial need, setting up in the state, we see that revenue and progress throughout the state. So in such a situation, what are the ways in which an equitable distribution of profits is shared among the local states and other concerned stakeholders?
I'll do these things. The first question about border policing. I think every country has a right to ensure that its borders are open. That that any migration that takes place is legal and it is fair. This is the right of the state. It's an obligation. It is a sad truth that they have been for many years. I believe that the last decade has been good. I promise you that it will be. Now, we sometimes make the error of nationalizing neglect or lack of competence as sometimes virtue. This is wrong. So I think there is a very clear consciousness today, both in the central government as well as in all the governments which are organized, that managing the border, securing the border is very important. Now, securing the border doesn't mean cutting off connectivity. In fact, on the contrary, if there is no connectivity, then people will come to various ways. It is only when there is connectivity that you have created a pathway and then you regulate it. So, for me, actually, it's not an either or. Securing the border and creating connectivity are part of the package. Neglecting the border and allowing uncontrolled migration is another package. Each one, as you know, has its, forgive my saying it, a political outlook and a certain history. I believe today that we are in the right outlook and the right history. Therefore, I'm reflected in this. On the soft power, this, people, all of us sometimes underestimate how human diplomacy and politics. But at the end of the day, people connect with each other. There is a chemistry. It's like the world is a society, like we are a society. You get along with somebody, you are more likely to do things. It's not. So it applies to nations. So I actually believe today the more we can promote the assets of India, the branding of India, which will appeal to partners abroad. So that now there are chances of somebody in Japan, since you mentioned very much, if somebody in Japan connects intuitively to Meghalaya because of this, and that then biases them in favor of doing nothing else coming as tourists and so much. In fact, that's why I said every part of India has some propensity somewhere. We need to maximize it. And definitely, I believe me, on this I'm a personal authority. I know exactly what appeals to people in India. And there is a emotional, cultural connect with the North. I think it's something which we should take care of. On the enterprisation, I would have a different view because I think you could pick something like a resource industry and say that the benefits of the resources do not come to people. That would make sense. But to me, today the issue is not so much how do the profits come. The profits will come. That's not the issue. The issue is how do you create employment for us? How do you create opportunity for people of that region or that state to get a fair share of what is are somewhere else, it's not a level playing field. So we certainly in the government believe that there must be a conscious effort today. If something is happening in some other part of the world, why doesn't that also happen? And that has not been the case. As I said, Delhi didn't take action. That is what has changed. You see, say something. In this cabinet, and we are finishing up cabinet, there is not a single minister who has not gone to office. I mean, that's how it is. So, that has actually created a totally different level of comfort. And again, I would say, I take satisfaction that the cutting edge industry, if you look, if someone says, okay, what will India's future be? To me, the future will be semiconductor, will be electric mobility, will be space industry, drones, it will be clean tech, it will be renewables. Like the sunrise industry is doing more business. And that's really the kind of approach that we are pushing.
Jobs for the people. It is a globalized world, but in FDIs and specialized jobs are an integral part of any partnership. How will one ensure that an equilibrium is created and achieved between specialists from around the country and also providing job opportunities for the workers in the employment sector? So my question is, in recent years, the current government has laid special emphasis on creating new economic sectors. This looks like GIFT City in Gujarat and even special progress in Gujarat. So do you see such similar cities coming up in the northeast as well? Because in your speeches where you will focus on getting semiconductor cities and others.
That's an interesting proposition. I mean, we are in Japan, because what is actually happening now in the world is, as you all know, the United Nations is not working to that. And the old era when, there were camps and lands, that's also kind of no longer. So in reality, a cluster of countries would have a similar interest. Meet up and say, okay, 3, 4 of us, 5 of us, we will work on this issue. So, in different regions, on different subjects, different combinations of countries have come. We ourselves, for example, with Japan, have a bilateral one with Australia. We had one with the US, but that's come because of the serious matter. So, the passion, you can say today, is towards these kinds of bilateral type arrangements. Because it is a very practical way of getting something done. It is a fact that Bangladesh as a country and the government of Bangladesh has very positive position. And so, I think our our thinking would be very much in sync with each other. So it's certainly food for thought. If it ever happens, you are welcome to take the credit. On the question you asked me, what you're really asking me in a way is a kind of a fair access, a fair opportunity. How does one I think there are two parallel processes. One is my direct responsibility, but one as a citizen, as a minister, also I'm very deeply interested. The one which is my direct responsibility is really how do I ensure when there is a global demand that our citizens get a fair shot. Not just get a fair shot, but get the right terms, the protection, the respect, which was, you don't want them to go and work at lesser terms than the people. And that's a very big subject today in politics. We are looking at, these mobility agreements with the two countries. The bottom line is allow our citizens to access your market. Normally they'll put some numbers, but often the numbers are in real life exceeded because the demand is very big. But ensure that they get the same protection, they get the same benefits and privileges that we will give to all. And we, in recent times, done agreements like this with Japan, Australia, Germany, Italy, Austria, UK, France. And I see this actually growing. The second part of it is this is the fact. How do you ensure that the youth of the Northeast has a fair shot at national employment policy? And there again, I would say one answer to that is actually by investing more deeply in the Northeast also. That the more educational institutions, because that leads to the last question, the more educational institutions which come up there, and the more business investments that are up there. Then a natural, I would say ecosystem of capability and creativity. So my answer to your question, you mentioned some, what is happening in some other states. I think it's something which needs to be talked about. But my gut sense is, whatever we do in Northeast has to be suited to the circumstances of the place. It's not like something works in Gujarat, let us try a replication of it. It may not be. It may not be the priority, it may not be the. But definitely, I think what you have seen in the last 10 years, first of all, by improving the infrastructure of the north, and connecting the north, by creating better skilled talent opportunities. I would definitely say we need to make a big push for business, because finally, through the job creation, business is the job. Government is also a creator, but the government is not a primary creator of jobs. It's the business which is the primary creator. And that is something I would say we would see very much as a priority.
Thank you, sir, for such critical questions and such engaging answers.
We have almost come to the end of the session. To wrap up this magnificent event, we would like to invite Dr. Samir Lama sir, our staff advisor, to extend a note of gratitude on our behalf.
Thank you, Steve and Pratham, for inviting me to do this honor. indeed a great beginning of the Northeast Student Cell Annual Fest 2024. I believe Ethnicia could not have been better than this. This is certainly a remarkable year for the Northeast Student Cell of Kirori Mal College for various reasons, one being this event. Hence, before I proceed towards the formal vote of thanks, let us all have a big round of applause for the Northeast Student Cell. It is indeed a privilege and honor to have amongst us a role model for the youth, an intellectual, a diplomat, and a revered young minister, Honorable Dr. S. Jaishankar sir, with us today. We are extremely indebted to sir for accepting our invitation to participate in this event as our distinguished chief guest. Listening to you was an absolute delight, sir. It was certainly a thought-provoking and enriching session. And I think all our students must have taken a lot of inputs from this today's session. We also look forward to your blessings and similar kind of interactions in times to come, sir. And we believe that we will all continue to work together for a better Northeast and a better Bharat in times to come. Thank you once again for being here with us today. My gratitude to our principal, Professor Dinesh Thakkar, for all his guidance and support in making this event a grand success. Sir, you have been a strong support and guiding force for all of us, and thank you for everything. Thank you. My gratitude to all our esteemed colleagues and faculty advisors from Northeast Student Cell, friends from media, our non-teaching staff, security staff, and importantly, Delhi Police for making this event a success. Thank you everyone. Last but not the least, thanks to all my dear students for your presence, for your participation, and for your patient hearing. Thank you everyone. Before we end, I would request all of you to rise for the national anthem. Thank you.